Reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
According to a new report, the vast majority of Americans simply want to be safe, happy, rich, comfortable, entertained, thin, and romantically fulfilled. The Onion spoke to a few of the survey's respondents who also claimed they want to be healthy, fulfilled, and successful and energized at all times.
All I want is a low-stress job, a nice house, affordable health care, and low gas prices, you know? It'd be nice to have a 35-hour work week, delicious food that's actually good for me, strong friendships, and free high-speed Wi-Fi wherever I go.
I think I'm entitled to wealth, love, cheap education, a fair legal process.
According to the survey, 63% of all Americans want their summers to be hot but not too hot. 85% want the government to stop all wars, end world hunger, and make quick and easy weight loss possible. 93% want to be emotionally satisfied, plus a soulmate, unconditional love from their parents, and a big happy dog.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Sunday. We'll sell you the whole seat, but we don't have Mark Edge. That's right. Jokes here on Free Talk Live. What is Free Talk Live, you might be asking, and ask you might. It is a live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. We try and talk about stuff that we think is interesting. We usually come from the perspective of freedom, peace, and prosperity, but open phones. The telephone number, 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you would like to get on the air. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Lord Dr. Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Bigless Mountaineer.
And Ian again.
Welcome back again.
Same crew.
Yeah.
2 nights in a row.
Weird. You know what I didn't do today? I broke my streak. I do have a third clutch T-shirt.
Oh, I was going to say, you changed clothes, and I don't know if I have
Well,
not.
I didn't wear this. I didn't wear this.
Dressed you this morning?
I didn't wear the
honestly.
same T-shirt 2 days in a row. I happened to open.
I did.
No clutch T-shirt, no stripy shirt. What's going on?
I know. Well, so this solid black shirt is actually new. I have one just like this, but it's green, and it's my favorite shirt.
Okay.
And when I ordered the green one, they didn't have black. And what are you looking at?
The nearly invisible stripes on it.
There are.
You are, in fact, wearing a stripy shirt.
I may be, in fact, wearing the striped shirt.
You have out-ninja'd my plaid is what you've done.
Nice. So at any rate, I wanted to wear it because, I buy a new shirt. I don't wear it. I throw it in the wash first. I want to wash it first because you don't know who wore it before you, kind of a thing. And so I threw it in the wash. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to wear this shirt today because it's comfy and I like it.
Very nice.
But at any rate, that has nothing to do with the show.
If you want to see his shirt, you can go to cam.freetalklive.com.
It'd be far more interesting if I was again wearing yet another clutch T-shirt. I actually own 4 of them.
Okay.
So, I could wear one every day that I'm broadcasting on Free Talk Live, a different one every night, but I completely spaced about that I had worn clutch T-shirts 2 days in a row. So
very good. So where are we going?
You mean this isn't Shirt Talk Live?
No.
It's not T-Shirt Talk Live? It's not talk about the most underrated rock band in all of Earth's history?
Nah, we don't need that shirt.
Okay.
That was some FCC regulated.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I'm tired of your shirt. Speaking of T-shirts with band names, a friend of mine is into this. I believe they're called a stoner rock band. They're called The Sword, SWORD. And whenever he wears the shirt, I go, how come your shirt says the S word?
That's funny.
All right, moving on to Free Talk Live stuff. This from Bitcoin.com. Broadcast company Fox to launch NFTs and a blockchain curated animated series.
I was
What the
hoping we'd
hell
get to
is-
talk about this.
Hold on. What is a blockchain curated animated series?
I mean, I'm still struggling to define a non-fungible token. That's NFT.
We'll have to get into that too, because yeah.
So, like, I mean, I can't really give you. I mean,
Will they tell us? Will they tell us in the story what that is?
We'll find out.
Blockchain curated?
Yeah, how does the blockchain curate
I
something?
don't know.
Much less curate, like
An animated series.
yeah. I mean, that would imply that there's many animated series
Mm-hmm.
on the blockchain, and that it would curate some of them.
It's very confusing.
But
to me.
I don't know that there's even one animated series on the blockchain.
A blockchain, for listeners that don't know, blockchain is sort of the most relevant technological development behind Bitcoin. It is essentially a decentralized, distributed ledger that exists in multiple locations simultaneously, and it essentially is a protection against cooking the books, so to speak.
Instead of double entry, it's triple entry. Like most folks are familiar with double entry accounting, the green sheets with 2 shades of green. And so, you get the 2 entries that you make to verify it against itself, but it still relies on a third party to verify it.
Trusted third party.
Right. Whereas the triple ledger, the third entry is the trusted third party, and it's decentralized. And so that's how it solves the Byzantine generals problem, which Lee has given a very good synopsis of on previous episodes
Well, thank you.
of Free Talk Live, which you can hear over at freetalklive.com.
And
Which-
so
I think it's. I know it's kind of inside baseball to talk about the Byzantine generals problem, but I just think it's useful because it gives you a real sense of how enormous of a change this is. Like, this is a philosophical problem that has plagued us for so long. It's called the Byzantine generals program. Problem.
Yeah, and it's been solved literally by the combination of cryptography and accounting. In layman's terms, right? So the
And
regular
networking.
folk. and the
'Cause
what
it
we
has to
call
be
the
distributed.
network effect, right? Because if it wasn't decentralized, it wouldn't work. So the 3 things brought together are what makes this technology go.
right.
And what just dawned on me is, like, if you think about the financial system, I mean, the entire thing is just unnecessarily complex. And they are very much the people who pull the strings of all of the militaries of the world. So they are, in fact, Byzantine generals, and we have solved that problem.
Yeah, that is a matter of fact. Near as I can tell.
So blockchain has been applied beyond the idea of money. You know, it has been applied in a variety of different ways, and it's still relatively new technology. So I'm curious to see how it's going to be applied to animated series. Was it?
Yeah, it's
I
confusing
had to look
headline.
up what curate means, and I guess in this context, it's
to select for an audience, right?
Yeah, to like sift through, select.
Right.
So I guess are they getting input from the people watching this show to figure out what they're going to do with it?
Well, that's like interactive television, right?
Yeah, well, like I said at the intro of the show, that it implies that there's a whole bunch of animated series already on the blockchain that they will be curating. But to my knowledge, I don't even know that there's one animated series on the blockchain.
Well, let's get into it.
There's
Find
going to
out.
be one.
The New York-based television network Fox is a popular company that's been in business for over 34 years. The corporate broadcasting company operates a variety of entertainment channels, including popular shows like The Simpsons, Undeclared, Beverly Hills, etc., and so on. I'm not going to name all these because I'm not advertising for Fox. This week, Fox Entertainment CEO Charlie Collier spoke to The Hollywood Reporter and explained that the firm is in the midst of constructing a subsidiary called Blockchain Creative Labs. The new company aims to provide a class of entertainment where, quote, art meets technology, unquote. Collier gave The Hollywood Reporter a short summary of how the company's new blockchain venture plans to meld art and technology. Not to go too far into it today, but as an advertiser-focused, artist-first, and animation-obsessed company, Fox is going to take advertisers into the world of blockchain-powered tokens, including NFTs, the Fox CEO said.
Which stands for non-fungible token.
Correct.
Which we'll have to get into.
Collier also spoke, well, we can briefly talk about that. My understanding...
Did you want to describe that one?
That's actually one I haven't spent a whole lot of time on, but I know you've probably looked a little closer, Captain.
The layman's way to understand what NFT is it's kind of like the blockchain version of intellectual property rights. And I say kind of because it's far different from intellectual property rights. Currently, and as a former musician, I can speak to what intellectual property rights are as somebody who's tried to publish music. The idea is that you write a song, you record a song, you put it on the internet, and then if somebody wants to use that song for something, they want to use it for background music, they want to use it in their movie, they want to use it, they want to play it over, a bar, right? A place where people gather all the time. They want a part of their jukebox or whatever. Generally speaking, intellectual property law is a government thing that requires people to pay a license fee to the artist to use their art in some way, shape, or form.
And this is something just generally intellectual property is a discussion we've had here on Free Talk Live over more than a decade, where some libertarian types agree with it and others do not.
Yeah, I don't agree with the part where the government forces people to do this. The NFTs, however, are voluntary. So it's a bit different. It allows the artists to get paid in sort of royalties, but they're blockchain distributed royalties where like anybody can use the music that they want, and then there's a microtransaction underneath that.
Yeah, I've heard this compared to like having a signed album.
That's a better
everyone
example.
Gets the album, but this one has been signed.
Yeah, let's talk about that coming up because I think that's a better explanation.
603-283-6160 is the number. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
If you're one of the many frustrated singles who suffer from online dating fatigue, you might just be in luck. A new dating website launched this week that caters to fed-up men and women who simply want to meet eligible singles with unbroken skin or open sores similar to their own. It's called Last Shot.
If you're one of those people who's just ready to throw your hands up in the air and start a life with someone who has unbroken lesion-free skin, or on the other hand, if you're open to someone who has boils and abscesses similar to your own, Last Shot is perfectly calibrated to your needs.
Boasting a user-friendly interface and affordable dues of $4.99 a month, Last Shot simply asks users to log in, then click yes or no if they have open sores. Within moments, they're connected with hundreds of eligible singles who have comparable skin conditions. Reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. Our Curie hopes to one day introduce an upgraded membership experience, which would allow exasperated singles to filter for specific skin conditions.
This is the Onion News Network.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you would like to get your voice on this radio program, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain, joining me.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
We've been talking about this article from Bitcoin.com, which says that Fox, that's right, Fox Broadcasting, is launching NFTs and a blockchain curated animated series.
And we had gotten into what is an NFT, and Captain, you had sort of described it as this intellectual property related thing.
Like, if you're an artist, that's how you would sort of best understand what it is. It's a way for you to get paid for your art on this new system, this new blockchain system.
It's one way to give it. It seems like, and I think that's where Lee was coming in with this collectability.
Right.
And how did you describe it?
Oh, as like if you get an autographed album.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Sure, plenty of people have that album, but you have the one with the autograph.
Right. That's so like when you go and buy an online album, or band is publishing online, they've cut out the record company, right? Like that's what the internet allowed bands to do 2 decades ago. And that made news. Like Trent Reznor just released this album, or whoever else was doing it. And then so that allowed them to connect directly with their fans, collect near to 100% of the revenue, and that was a big advancement. So this doesn't have anything to do with that. That's still going on. But this allows them to say, hey, this is digital record number 1. This is our most special, unique. It's the same exact music. So if you want to hear our music, you can pay, $10 over here and get all the music. But if you want to be our best fan, then you can buy this NFT version of the record. And then the bids come in because it's this, sort of false scarcity, right? Like the record exists, but they've anointed this one as the special one, and then you get millions, if not, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars bid to be that fan.
So
basically.
I was going to say, like, there are a lot of things that you want, like a low serial number, because this was one of the first ones ever made.
Yeah,
and
that's what this is. Yeah. This is the digital version of a collectible, essentially.
Yes. And so I know
backed
somebody.
By the blockchain.
I know somebody that has a championship baseball cap from their favorite sports team, and that came with a little certificate. It's all fancy authenticity that says this is the actual thing, and it is number 1,204, whatever it is.
And the nice thing about this is like a certificate of authenticity. Like, who knows if that's legitimate?
Faked.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It can be faked. Whereas
this cannot.
Yeah,
right, because it's on the blockchain. And, well,
it's distributed throughout the world. There's a record throughout the world that this transaction occurred at this time, so you have the legitimate thing.
Right. I also equate it to a lot of folks will say the officially licensed product, right? Nerds all around the globe of like Star Wars, for example, right? If they have an in-the-box officially licensed, Luke Skywalker figure from the first generation of the action, I mean, that's worth something to collectors.
Unless it's a knockoff that was made in China.
Right.
Right.
So this would give some version of authenticity to it using the blockchain, which is arguably far more secure.
It's perfect for that purpose. And there's been some controversy, I guess, over these NFTs.
Yeah.
People seem to be kind of split on whether they're a good idea or not. And I say more power to them. I mean, personally, I have no attraction whatsoever to it.
And one of the things, like, apparently this is a way that you could do something like this NFT is, we've decided, the deed to my car. So when I transfer this to you, you have the legitimate ownership of my car. And that, I think, is actually a huge innovation that is made possible by cryptocurrency. I'm not saying this is the only way to do that, but this is a way of doing that. And I mean, that has a tremendous potential of putting a lot of lawyers out of work, for one thing.
It would be similar to like a notary public in that particular instance. And yes, this is some of the powerful things that the blockchain technology can do that we've talked about, that I've talked about specifically, where the blockchain technology, not just Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is the first killer app to use blockchain technology, but the blockchain technology has the ability to replace bureaucracy as a whole. Because all of the things that bureaucrats do, which is generally some sort of official record keeping, right? That's the crux of most bureaucratic
the very word
actions.
Register.
Right.
Like to register a thing. I mean, it comes from the root of the king, because you are giving it to the king's men that they will keep track that you registered this plot of land or whatever it was.
Right.
And we don't need the king to register things now.
And this is why we've seen folks, libertarian type people or anarchist type people, freedom-oriented people, do their marriages outside of the government system and instead do them on the blockchain, where they make their own sort of marriage certificate, they put their vows in it or whatever, they upload it to the blockchain, and now it's a quote officially unquote recognized by anybody that can access that piece of information.
Yeah, I saw that happen at a Bitcoin conference probably almost not quite a decade ago, probably like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and it is way more secure if you do it that way. Yeah. Because I mean, there's a specific number of systems that go down, and that marriage no longer exists in any record. And who knows who's shuffling that this way or that, or who's going to misspell someone's name at some point, and suddenly, we can't find the record that you were ever married. Whereas this, once you get it entered, it's there.
So this NFT, non-fungible token, I don't know if we've mentioned that, this segment, that's what it stands for. It's kind of the latest fad in cryptocurrency. A few years ago, there was the Crypto Kitties thing that was blowing up.
Everybody, on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, and this is also probably on the Ethereum blockchain, although it doesn't have to be. There's tokens on different blockchains. But
I know Bitcoin Cash just moved into starting to do that
that was a couple
more
years
effectively.
ago.
Well, let's table this for just a minute, because we do have a call. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live. Jet's calling from Texas. Go ahead, Jet.
Well, I want to caution everybody who's getting married to get a contract, first of all. Anyway, I wanted to...
What kind of a contract?
I wanted to go over this thing that people call the 13th Amendment, because there are a lot of people who see this thing they call the Constitution as kind of a Bible. And I was curious because of this abduction that took place and all these people, all these bail conditions. Given the 13th Amendment, how is all that possible? I mean, is there any limit to the conditions that one can put on this? Should I read it for you?
Yes, please. Go ahead, at least for our listeners.
It says, neither slavery nor servitude, except involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So is timeout a punishment? I mean, what is the limit? Can they tell you can't pick your nose, can't go to the bathroom? I mean, what are the limitations to this?
Good questions. My quick and dirty answer, of course, and I'll let the other hosts weigh in, is that the government can do whatever they want because they have all the guns and
I got some questions
that
for
kind
you,
of a thing. I assume you can hang on, Jet?
Yes, I will, because I have questions.
Groovy. Stand by. We'll get the answers from our other hosts. And if you want to weigh in on this topic, 603-283-6160. Is the 13th Amendment being violated when somebody is released on bail? More Free Talk Live on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. The telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you want to get your voice on this radio program. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Bakeless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
And we'll go right away back to Jet, who is calling from Texas. Jet, you were saying a thing about the 13th Amendment in relation to Ian's release. Can you run that by us again?
Was that in relation to me? I didn't. If so, I missed it.
Either way, would you repeat the question, please?
Well, my question is kind of this: if you're restricted from movement, if something goes around your ankle like a chain, if you can't go a certain distance, is that not bondage?
Certainly.
And is bondage not slavery?
Well, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
Does this count as servitude? Because
Yes,
in one
of course.
sense, I mean, they're not working.
If you have to do what someone else says in under threat of punishment, I mean, it is a punishment unto itself.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt that that I am not at liberty, prior to trial here. I'm highly restricted. The judge in the case actually even used the terms "a short leash." So
yeah.
I mean,
Okay, so my other questions are: how is it acceptable to everyone here in America that some one person can how do you say it, order your life? In other words, just make you jump through hoops and all this stuff when in fact under their own rules you have not been convicted, that kind of thing. How is it acceptable that strangers can order you around? How is it acceptable that they can lock you in cages like wild animals because you disagree with their opinions?
It's not.
I mean,
but it is. That's what happens, and people, they got a bunch of guns and they're not afraid to use them. So people do what they're told.
And I think you are pointing out that this is a violation of due process. I mean, we are treating you as if you have already been convicted of something.
Yeah, you're on probation.
Out of just
That's
being
right.
accused. Now, if we actually got what we allegedly have a right to in a speedy trial, which would only be possible if they hadn't clogged the courts with an absolute unbelievable glut of nonsense. Like if they kept the courts for people who have actually been harmed, for theft, for arson, for actual crimes, then we would get trials quick enough that it wouldn't be so onerous that we have to leave you on a leash for a year.
But the main question is, what's the limitation? I mean, what can they not demand from you? What is it that they cannot demand from you?
Again, my quick and dirty answer is anything they want.
They appear to have no limits.
Yeah, I don't know that there is a limit, and if there is, it's certainly not very public.
Yeah, do you mean what can they officially demand and what can they actually get?
Well, first of all, you know that how I feel about this group of people. They're just other humans who have no more right to do anything than you or I. Especially, so it doesn't make any difference whether they put on a magic black dress or whether they give themselves a title and put it on their desk, or whether they walk around with their nose in the air. It doesn't matter. All people are the same. I mean, you and I. If you don't have a right to do these things to someone else, they don't have a right to do them to you, because there's no way that they can get that right. It just bugs the crap out of me, and I think more people just need to pass this information around, and when they do, hopefully we'll get to enough minds opened up enough to where they'll say no more.
So
thank you.
Having said that now, Jet, I revised my answer to your question. My answer is, what can they get away with? As much as the general population of human beings will tolerate. That's how much.
Yes. So, and the definition of a law is just someone's opinion that they're willing to kill you over.
That's right.
Agreed.
Well, and there's definitely two levels here. Like there's the real level. They are human beings who have found a really, really good show to put on to pretend that they have a right over everyone else. And most people are not there. So a lot of people are on a different level of, well, if they actually, did due process, well, then they can do X, Y, and Z. And on that level, even, we have long since gone so far away from the idea of innocent until proven guilty. I mean, if you talk to the guards in the jails, they will tell you they don't treat these people like they're innocent. They don't treat them like they're innocent, and the system doesn't treat them like they're innocent.
Well, that's why I preach and preach and preach to don't use their language. Treat them as just other people. Talk about them as just other people. Think about them. Because it really is all in your mind. All this control, all these rules are just things that you have accepted as legitimate in your mind. If you come to that place where you say, you know what? These are just other people. They don't have a right to do this. If you can get more people to do that, things will change. The world will change. That's what I got.
Hey,
don't
thanks.
use the word government.
Thanks for the call, Jet. We appreciate it.
Well,
Jet is correct. I mean, he's not wrong in any of that. And in fact,
he's a little off on one part.
Well, the idea of government is a human construct.
Yes.
And I say that because, you know, when ducks fly south through the winter, you don't see them getting a passport and passing through customs. You know, when deer migrate north from, you know, the northern states in the Midwest into Canada, you don't see them getting passports and having to go through checkpoints, right? So human beings are the only ones who are subjected to these arbitrary laws by these organizations commonly known as governments, which are, as Jet points out, just people.
Well, there is one part I disagree with. It's not what's in my mind that is causing this.
Mm-hmm.
It is certainly what is in the mind of those with clubs and guns that is causing this, and largely what is in the mind of the majority of people.
The belief that this organization somehow has more rights than any other person on planet Earth is what drives that.
Because if either the enforcers stopped believing it, or if the majority of the public stopped believing it, then it would stop.
It'd be over.
Yeah, it would go away overnight if that could happen, or at least very soon after it happened. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum that not enough people realize. I don't know how to get people to that point. I don't even know. I can't really even explain to you how I came to that point, other than to say, you know, there was a point in my life when I wanted to discover, you know, where do I fall on the political spectrum? And so I started doing some research, and it turns out nowhere. I didn't belong anywhere. And it wasn't until I started hearing about the philosophies of freedom, the non-aggression principle specifically, that I went, oh, so I'm none of these things. Right. And I had a realization that I think is common amongst libertarians, which is, well, I've always felt that way. Except I didn't. I know that I didn't, because there were times in my life when I think Jet actually mentioned that some people treat the Constitution as if it's some sort of a Bible. And I grew up in religious households, and so, you know, their answer was always, well, what does it say in the good book? Right, you know, about this situation, or the Lord says this in chapter blah, verse blah. He says this, that, and the other thing, and well, that's what you should do about your problem. Well, and so, because of that, when it came to politics, I would do that same gyration, except I would go, well, what does it say in the Constitution, right? So I did treat the Constitution as some sort of a Bible, in saying that, hey, a bunch of old guys somewhere wrote down some words, and well, I've been told they're important, so let's go look at what they said, because, you know, they're supposed to be some sort of wise guys.
Well, and in one case, you have this holy book in black leather with gold trim, and in another, you have a man in a flowing black robe with a gold-trimmed flag, and it really is a matter of stagecraft. And since he brought up the 13th Amendment, I want to point out a piece of the stagecraft that they're using for this, because it does sound reasonable to an ordinary person when they read this, but when it says, have been duly convicted, by whom? Who decides what is duly convicted? Who decides what is due for a conviction to be enforced? And it's not spoken, but it's implied that it's them.
603-283-6160. It's a great question. Who does make those decisions? More Free Talk Live is on the way.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. We're here 7 days a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you live outside of the Eastern Time Zone, do some math. It's not that hard. Look it up on the internet. Whatever you got to do to make sure that you tune in. Some of the radio stations don't broadcast us when we're actually live, so it may not translate. They'll run they'll broadcast us either after or the next day after the show's actually live. But if you want to call, you must call between the hours of 7 to 10 p.m. And the number 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer.
It's Ian.
We've been talking about these Well, I guess we were talking about this article where Fox has announced that they are going to get into the NFTs, or non-fungible tokens.
They're jumping on the bandwagon.
Yep. And
this is a huge fad in cryptocurrency right now.
And also announcing a blockchain curated animated series, which we haven't really got to talk about that very much.
I did do a quick bit of research and found another article on the subject that it will curate and sell digital goods ranging from NFTs of one-of-a-kind characters and background art and GIFs, as well as tokens that provide exclusive social experiences to engage and reward superfans. So I guess that's what they're doing with the NFTs, is a lot like the autographed whatever.
Right. So it used to be the old school way of doing stuff like this would be, I'll take the rock band Kiss, right? Because they are the most merchandised band that has ever existed on planet Earth that I'm aware of. You could join the KISS fan club and pay a certain fee to be in the fan club, and they would send you cool stuff that nobody else would get because they weren't in the club.
Right.
And this is the blockchain version.
Were you in the club?
I was not in the club, but I know many people who were.
Okay.
So you've got the KISS shirt, but they've got the official fan club KISS shirt that is a little different.
Right. Or they got the signed version of whatever poster from the tour or whatever, that kind of stuff. Bands still do this kind of thing, particularly since the whole madness and the government's reaction to COVID and the lockdowns and all that kind of thing. Bands had to find new and creative ways of merchandising themselves and making themselves a viable product. Many bands turned to the internet and were doing basically glorified jam sessions from their rehearsal space and calling them concerts and charging $20 for you to see a live stream of them in your living room. Now, depending on the quality of the band, that might have been worth it. I did do that for Clutch, my favorite rock band. But, and then they would also do exclusives, right? So if you bought a ticket to that thing, you were also eligible to buy a T-shirt that was branded specifically for that particular concert, and they would name it that. So this would easily be something you could do with an NFT.
So now it sounds like Fox, major broadcasting company, is using NFTs, which means using blockchain technology, to connect directly with fan revenue. It just seems like another way for them to make some money, and good for them.
Well, and the internet largely has become a marketing machine, right? Yes, you have basically any information you can think of, if you know how to search it properly, available to you, in a magic rectangle you carry in your pocket. But before it was that, it was a glorified marketing machine, and it still is to that extent. So this is a natural extension of something like this to me,
right?
Particularly from an artist perspective. I know you said you didn't have any real, teeth in the game or whatever, but from an artist perspective, I'm interested in how these NFTs are going to evolve. It's early times. I would love to see
people are making money.
I would love to see how it eliminates the government out of artist revenue. That would be great to me if it can accomplish that. I think that would be great.
Well, I'm sure the government wants all the artists to report all their NFT revenue.
Of course they do.
Well, and that's one of the things that I wonder about this, because I know that a lot of the most effective money laundering in the world happens through art, because art is one of those things that does not have any kind of a remotely set price. So,
all those movies about stealing the Mona Lisa.
Right. Well, and okay, if you want to, move $1 million from point A to point B, all you need is one person with a very, very nice degree to explain why this piece of art went from being worth $100 to $1 million, or vice versa. And people will go, oh, well, okay, now that sounds legitimate. And they've got, an educational backing to explain this in very large words that no one understands outside of their industry. And then suddenly you have legitimacy for why this went from being worth this price to being worth this price. And I wonder if NFTs are going to be something like that in the future.
It's an interesting concept. We'll talk more about this, but let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Robert calling from South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that you mentioned documentation, that was to say passports and papers to travel internationally. Well, I just wanted you to know that birds, when they travel from northern Europe down to Africa, they oftentimes travel, a lot of them, they've traveled mostly through Italy and Malta. I can't remember now for sure which country or both of these countries, whether it's both Malta and Italy or just one of them, but the birds have to basically stop once in a while to take a rest, they do that, and they have nets, and they're mounted. They have guns. I mean, with little rockets, and these little rockets carry the nets over the top of the tree, or trees. It can be 2 or 3, for that matter, however big the nets are, and then they capture the birds. But I don't know if they're still doing that. That was information. I left Germany 16 years ago, and I heard about it in Germany, because the Germans are very, very sensitive to those kind of things. Germans are real pals of animals.
I understand what you're saying, but that in no way, shape, or form resembles the human passport. I mean, the birds aren't required to go pay a large fee, get a piece of paper, get their photo taken at their own cost, and then submit it through the government, and then wait for it to be mailed to them, and then show that when they fly into Italy before they're allowed to land. That's a poor analogy.
Now, is that in fact how you acquire a Maltese falcon?
I had a pet rabbit, and I had to get documentation for her.
In Germany?
Yes. And they were very kind. They gave me the
documentation exists, but I'm talking about passports specifically from traveling from one country to another.
Well, what you're talking about are restrictions put on humans either way. The rabbit doesn't need paperwork unless you are in possession of the rabbit, because they know you've got money and you will pay the fee. So that's what the government loves, licensing everything they can buy. If it moves, license it, tax it. That's what they do.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, sometimes dogs have a little problem in Italy. They use dogs for stray dogs. They think if the dog is outside and they see it, they can capture it. And they I don't know if they still do this anymore, but they used to use them for in vitro experimentation and also testing of drugs on stray dogs. And there was a famous person in Italy whose dog was captured, and he found out about it, and he went to the laboratory, and they told him, Dr. So-and-so, we're very sorry, but your dog is really too far gone. And so they euthanized the dog so that he wouldn't have to go through the final part of the experimentation.
Well, there's no doubt that governments will do evil things even to animals. We've certainly seen plenty of examples.
So is your argument that if it's good enough for the animals, it's good enough for us when it comes to passports?
Well, the thing is, with passports, I can tell you a story about that, too. I'm trying to get my German passport renewed right at this particular point in time. And, well, they make you get a paper. When you move out of Germany, you have to get a document that says when you moved out and that you moved out. And if you don't have that document, you have to get a copy of it from the authorities in the city from which you moved. Mm-hmm. And you have to submit that to the authorities. You have to get it to Berlin somehow, and that means going through to the embassy or one of the consulates or possibly one of the honorary consulates. And I wrote to them, and they promised that they would send it, but they never did. So then 6 months later,
sounds like the German government is still asking you for your papers.
I was just going to say, a man trying to get into Germany, and they're asking for papers, please.
Well, don't worry about it. I know that they love me back in Germany. If I ever had an emergency,
Robert loves his German government. He loves all governments.
Hey, thanks for the call, Robert.
Too.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
He's called before.
Yeah. Many times. And always, see, government is good. Look at Germany. They're doing an awesome job, and they have a heck of a lot of government.
I still can't wrap my head around how, netting some birds that have landed in a park as a break from their migration is equivalent to a passport.
I don't know if he was making that argument. I think he was just talking about things.
Well, if that's the case, then
it's a little rambling.
Then it makes way more sense.
Yeah.
All right. NFTs and Fox. We were talking about this article from Bitcoin.com.
And we will have to come back to that shortly.
Don't call me shortly.
How about Beardly?
Well, I could call you that too.
I am a Lee with a beard.
Oh, you're a peakless mountaineer is what you are.
That's true.
The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. If you would like to get your voice on the program, talk about whatever's on your mind, hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is on the way.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Honoring the Fallen. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Biden paying tribute to those who put on the uniform to defend our nation.
On my first Memorial Day as Commander-in-Chief, I want to reaffirm my long-standing belief. We may have many obligations as a nation, but we only have one truly sacred obligation, and that's to equip those we send into harm's way with all they need and care for them and their families when they return home and when they don't.
The president speaking at a Memorial Day service in Newcastle, Delaware. He's expected tomorrow to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery. The White House calling on air travelers to respect flight crews who enforce mask mandates amid an increase in unruly passenger behavior. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on ABC's This Week.
Remember what they have been through, what they have been doing to keep you safe, and make sure to show some appreciation and respect to everybody from, a bus driver or operator to a flight attendant to a captain. They have been on the front lines of this pandemic. Their jobs have been in doubt. They are here for your safety, and it's so important to show appreciation for the work that they're doing in this very, very busy holiday weekend.
The FAA says there were roughly 2,500 reports of unruly passengers from January 1st through May 24th. At least 2 people killed and about 24 injured in a shooting outside a banquet hall in South Florida. Police are searching for 3 suspects.
This is a despicable act of gun violence, a cowardly act. We have our investigators on the scene. We're asking for any information from the community.
Miami-Dade Police Director Alfredo Ramirez. The CDC says nearly 294 million doses of a COVID-19 vaccine have been administered as of today. The coronavirus blamed for more than 591,000 deaths nationwide. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that Neil Armstrong learned to fly a plane before he got his driver's license? You would if you watched the series Armstrong on Curiosity Stream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
The The Biden administration giving Republicans 1 week to reach a deal on an infrastructure bill. GOP Senator Shelley Moore Capito on Fox News Sunday.
Well, we disagree on the definition of infrastructure, and we've been working with the president to bring it back to the physical core idea of infrastructure that we've worked so well on in the past, whether that's roads and bridges, waterways, ports, lead pipes, transit, airports, and also the new infrastructure, which, is we must have everywhere, a broadband. Those are great categories, I think, that we can work together on.
White House officials say infrastructure also includes things like childcare and elder care. An actor who played Tarzan on television is among 7 people missing and presumed dead after a small jet crashed into a lake in Tennessee.
William Lara and his wife Gwen were among the people killed in the crash. William, who was known as Joe Lara, played the main character of the TV series Tarzan: The Epic Adventures. Gwen founded the Remnant Fellowship Church in Brentwood and wrote a faith-based weight loss book. The plane was reported down Saturday morning, and the crash scene posed difficulties for investigators. Rutherford County Fire Rescue Captain Joshua Sanders.
Everything at this point points to all of our crash site being in the water.
The FAA says the Cessna C501 plane was headed from nearby Smyrna Rutherford County Airport in Tennessee to Palm Beach International Airport in Florida. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Mother Nature didn't get the message about the unofficial start of summer, with temperatures below normal for much of the nation.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, "If you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid." This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card, and the sign-up bonus, enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
Shortly after having sexual intercourse with a prostitute earlier this afternoon, local man Jacob Reynolds told reporters that he never expected the experience would bring him to new heights of emotional and spiritual fulfillment.
I was convinced that having sex with a complete stranger behind my wife's back would leave me feeling drained and empty on the inside, but my self-esteem is through the roof.
Reynolds, who said he paid $150 for a 30-minute block of time, said that his moderate expectations for the encounter were instantly surpassed by what turned out to be a deeply personal sexual communion that transported him to a new plane of emotional intimacy.
I've never felt a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back. It is Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 of tonight's broadcast is kicking off. The telephone number in studio, if you'd like to join in on the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me,
Beagless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
On March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were arrested. We refer to these people as the Crypto Six. They were all tossed into cages, otherwise kidnapped. 4 of them were released on some sort of bail conditions. Ian Freeman was held hostage for 69 days, and he just got out recently. He's here tonight with us in the studio. But the person named Nobody remains behind bars. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's a bunch of links there. There's some information available there. There's a video there of what happened on the day of March 16th, and you can view that. But there's also multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund, because the charges these people face are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal firepower and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com.
Send nobody mail.
Yeah, if you want to write to nobody, I believe the address is posted on thecrypto6.com. Cool. If it is not, you can join the Telegram chat, and I believe it's pinned there, or just ask in the chat, and it'll be readily available for you.
You mean you forgot your old address already?
No, I could remember it. I'm just not going to give it out on the air.
Yeah, well, a guy moves, and, you lose something.
You don't want to give addresses out on the air. I mean, how many people are in their car can actually, write down a thing? That's not a good plan.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, we'll talk more about the show prep and the article on Fox Broadcasting and their NFTs and what else they're doing. But we have calls to take, and so that's what we do here at Free Talk Live. Let's go to Dave in New York. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Number one, Ian, I just want to say welcome back.
Hey, thanks,
Number
Dave.
two, you guys, I am currently on Snapchat, and all I ever see on Snapchat
What's
are
your
these
username?
prostitutes begging for money, and I'm sick of it.
What's your username?
HV Guy 313. I also have my own blog site.
Oh, really? What's that?
Soundgasm.net/u, the letter U, / and then audio worth saving.
Oh, what a easy to remember website.
So, okay.
Soundgasm.net/u / audio
Let's
worth
get back to what
saving.
Let's get back to what you're complaining about, because you're always complaining about something. What is it again? Women are too slutty for you? What's happening?
These prostitutes on Snapchat always saying, buy my nudes, buy my nudes, buy my premium, buy my premiums. I can't take it anymore. I'm sick of it. I wish all these prostitutes would stop coming on Snapchat.
Did you know that there is an off button, and you could just not go there? There's an off button on your device.
Use what?
I have my local friends on there, but there's also whenever I see these girls on there, I always say, age where from, please, age where from, please, because I want to know how old they are and where they're from, because Snapchat does not tell you how old these people are.
Wait a minute. Okay, so I've used Snapchat just for a brief here and there. I kind of know what it is. The idea is all of the messages are timed out, meaning that they're like self-destruct, which I think is
terrible.
They're
not timed out. You can actually save messages.
Okay, I had no idea. So that I guess just shows I don't know that much about it.
Well,
but
I've got a solution for you if you'd like, other than obviously don't go to Snapchat because they can say what they want. But I do have it's a long-term solution if you'd like to hear it. So
I would, yes.
All right. So if we move to cryptocurrency, there will be so much wealth generated by this transition that they will not need to ask you for money for their
nudes. I don't know anything about crypto. I don't know anything about it, nor do I care.
All right, so let's look at this issue here, Dave. So you're on a social media platform. It's called Snapchat. As I understand it, you have to search for people to follow there, right? Like you have to say, if you know your friend's name, like you just gave yours out, I think it was HV Guy 313. So if somebody out there listening to you has always wanted to follow Dave in New York and his posts on Snapchat, they can now search for you. But they can, if somebody sends you a request, can somebody follow you without your approval, or do you have to give them approval to be your friend?
I think you have to give them approval or something or whatever. But
hold on. I got another question. So does that mean that these women that you call prostitutes on Snapchat, does that mean you have sent them a friend request and they have approved your friend request, and then they start sending you messages you don't want?
Yeah, something like that, or whatever. But
so you're upset because
I always ask them, age where from, please. Age where from, please.
And what do they say?
Because Snapchat doesn't give out people's ages, and I'm sick of it.
Well, I'm curious, Dave, if you go to like, a gathering or a concert or a bar or wherever you go to like, interact with other people and you meet an attractive girl, for example, is the first thing out of your mouth, age and where from, please?
Captain Kick-Ass, I hate women.
Oh, okay. Well, then when you meet an attractive dude and
I'm
is the
not
first
into
thing...
dudes. I don't like dudes. I hate women because they're nothing but sluts and cunts and bitches and
Okay,
whores.
you're gonna have to hit the dump.
I don't think we can.
You can't say that.
We can air
on the
that.
radio.
Yeah.
He is really upset. I guess it's sad. I know.
Thanks for the call, Dave.
Years ago, he did have a girlfriend. I mean, he's been calling the show for almost a decade.
That was formerly Dave of Poughkeepsie, right?
I believe he's still in Poughkeepsie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it sounds to me like Dave, who's always been upset every time he calls in. There's always something that's upsetting him. He's always angry. And it sounds like he has once again put himself in a position to be upset. He has sent messages to what appear to be attractive women on a social networking site, and it turns out they just want to make money off of him. Now, whether they're actually attractive,
Shocker.
yeah, whether they're actually the women themselves, or a man who has access to a series of photographs and is, just putting this profile online for the purpose of hitting people up for money, which could very well be the case. There's no guarantee it's actually the person you think it is. That all he has to do to stop having this experience, as you pointed out, Lee, he could just stop the program, uninstall it completely. But should he want to continue using Snapchat, he could simply unfriend the people who are sending him unwanted messages and stop sending requests
I
to
keep
attractive
talking
women.
to this person, then they keep telling me something I don't want to hear.
Also,
I can't imagine how to solve this problem.
Yeah, and if you actually hate women, as he claims to do, which is tragic, but if that's the case, why is he sending women messages? I mean, if you hate a person, then try to keep them out of your life. Don't give that person a reason to be in your life. So you're creating all of your own problems here, Dave.
Well, it sounds like he wants a bunch of things for free and brings nothing to the table.
That sounds about right. The old joke about Dave was that he's on welfare, and he hates it when people say that about him. But he may still be. Who knows?
I was thinking that when I first heard Snapchat, I was like, is that like people like
no
snapping, like Morse code to each other? Like,
No.
How do you snap and chat? That seems like way more difficult than just chat.
Yeah, it's a photo sharing
I mean,
thing.
a click chat, sure. There's a whole language called gung.
Also, Dave, hate hurts the hater, so, stop the hate.
I also keep saying repeatedly that if it wasn't for the internet and also the existence of government, if people were able to freely transact voluntarily and whatever they want, that Instagram would be a cocaine vending machine.
Nice.
No humor in this room. All right. Well, I'm reluctant to bring the next caller on because I hear this sound in my headphones that lets me know that I should say something like, if you want to get your voice on the radio, dial 603-283-6160.
And don't say the C word or we have to hit the dump button, and that makes us sad.
It does. Thanks for making me dump somebody, Dave. I had a pretty good streak going on. I'm not dumping anybody. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live.
People, they like to complain about the idea that the money is taxpayer dollars. It's not really true, is it? I mean, they were your dollars until you gave them to the government.
Right.
Now they're their dollars, and they're going to do whatever the hell they damn well want to do with them.
You're right.
It is still your money in that if a thief comes and steals money from you,
it doesn't cease to be yours just because they stole it.
You still have a claim on that, but you don't have the ability to control the thief unless you actually have him in your custody. So that thief is going to go out and buy a big screen TV or do whatever, spend it on coke and whores or whatever it is that thieves do with the money that they steal. And
that's what the politicians do with it.
Yeah, you can call the thief on the phone and say, "I told you not to spend that money on whores," and he's going to say, "Well, thanks for the input." Noted.
I appreciate that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is the Sunday edition. We don't have any monster trucks, though. No, sir.
Yet.
Not yet, anyway. Although that could be fun. A Free Talk Live monster truck?
Right.
Sweet. Yeah. If you would like to join us, there's a couple calls holding, so if you're getting a busy signal, keep trying. But the number, 603-283-6160, if you want to participate in tonight's conversations. In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
Let's just go right away to the phones. We've got Stephen calling from Washington. Stephen, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, just want to say welcome home, Ian. I think that the bail system is nothing more than government's ransom for holding you hostage on some bullcrap charges. So welcome home.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
What's on your mind?
And say again. Sorry.
What's on your mind tonight, Stephen?
So a bunch of my vet buddies of mine, we got a crypto group, and one of the guys commented the other day that birds aren't real. They're just government drones. I wanted to get your take on that.
Birds aren't real?
They're just government drones.
I thought it was hilarious, too, but I wanted to throw that out there to you guys.
Well, hold on.
Where does he think chicken comes from?
Hold on, because I have something related to that. I purchased a house about a year ago, and there were no birds. And now there's a nest on either side of my front porch, underneath the porch itself, but in the open sort of rafter looking area, there's a nest on either side. One's got some sort of a chickadee, I don't know what kind of bird, the other one's got a robin's nest. And so now I have, according to your friend Stephen, probably upwards of 10 government drones on my front porch.
That's hilarious. And we're all a bunch of crazy vets that, know exactly what the government does. So, hey, there's no telling, man. Y'all have a great Sunday. Happy Memorial Day.
Thanks for the call,
man.
Stephen.
No, man, he's got it totally backwards. It's actually the birds that run the government. You think that's chirping? Nah, man, it's Morse code.
I'm just trying to figure out how to charge these birds rent. They're living rent-free, like you freeloaders.
I don't know. I've never had a bird purposefully come into my house, but I did have a drone in here on March 16th.
Yep. I guess you had an actual government drone in your house, whereas
it's very loud.
Mine are, at least disguised as some sort of wildlife. And they're not in my house. They're just under the roof of the front porch outside of the house. So they're not inside.
It was quite loud, quite obnoxious, and pretty awful.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
They brought the drone in, by the way, because they don't want to come in themselves. They're worried that they're going to get shot. That's the idea. That's why they had all the guns and the whole thing. Instead of coming here at 10 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon and just knocking like normal people would do, they destroyed the windows
at
and
6 a.m.
sent in a drone at 6 a.m. at 10-degree weather.
Bastards.
The raid that could have been a phone call.
Sure. Yeah. Or like an official letter. Anyway, we have Major Payne with us. Major, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
You guys are making me chuckle.
Okay.
Well, I was going to have some fun with one of your callers from a previous quarter here. Old Robert Rabbit there from Germany.
Oh, yeah.
He had to have papers for his magic money there. Yeah. So I remember years ago seeing an Elmer Fudd episode of Bugs Bunny where he was a German. And, of course, he was always hunting the Wascowee Wabbit. So, was Elmer
Wascowee Wabbit.
My goodness. I mean, what kind of a world are we living in here? Dr. Seuss is illegal.
Oh, yeah.
You can't kill the Wascowee Wabbit.
They
have massive rights, to like garlic and butter. But
yeah, didn't they edit
sure
the old
rest
cartoons to remove Elmer Fudd's gun or something like that?
Yep. Elmer Fudd's getting kicked out for his guns.
How revisionist is that?
It's crazy.
They probably did. Here, I read a little ditty in the paper today. It tickled my Elmo. So there's a park ranger, and he says to the tourist, "Careful, somebody spotted a coyote out here a while back." So 20 minutes later, what's the tourist do? Drive into a rock painted like a tunnel.
It's cute.
Thanks for the call tonight, Major. We appreciate it. Major Payne, everybody.
And I got to say, that's totally backwards, because Elmer Fudd is an idiot and kind of a bad guy. I mean, not like evil, but like a well-meaning, but,
Kill the wabbit.
He's stupid and the antagonist. You would think they would want to hold on to that to paint everyone who has a gun or likes gun
like him
as an Elmer Fudd.
I just came up with a portmanteau. Stantagonist.
A stantagonist?
Stupid and antagonist. Stantagonist. It could also be like the name. Kind of like my favorite character that doesn't exist, but yet you all know him by name. Previous Leon. That's right. Previous Leon.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I want to make like an actual character out of him, Like
you could do that.
So I could sell merch and
NFT. Previous Leon.
The prefix of every show.
NFT. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of portmanteau. What's a portmanteau? It's when you take two words and combine them into one. So techniculties, for example, is one of my best ones. That's my favorite. Yeah. Technical difficulties. It's all one word now. Techniculties.
Right.
So, at any rate.
Previously on NFT.
Previously on Bitcoin.com. We were talking about this article from Bitcoin.com. Broadcast company Fox to launch NFTs and a blockchain curated animated series. And so we talked about what an NFT is, how it impacts
it's an non-fungible token,
how it impacts, the world that we know. In my case,
it allows people to buy a thing
artists,
like a collectible, like a digital collectible, basically.
Correct.
That's what it is.
And so this guy, let's see, who is he?
Dan Harmon.
The CEO of Fox, Charlie Collier, Collier also spoke about the project with Daniel Harmon, the American writer, producer, actor, and comedian who co-created the show Rick and Morty with Justin Roiland. The Fox CEO noted that Harmon is working on another television series called Crapopolis, with a K, which is centered on a flawed family of humans, gods, and monsters that tries to run one of the world's first cities without killing each other. The new show will be crafted with blockchain technology and will be the first television series to do so, Collier insists.
Okay, how?
Well,
what does that mean?
I don't know.
And I had to go to another article to find this out, which, not the best writing.
The article
guys.
continues.
But, no, I've read this one. They don't actually explain. They kind of expect us to know what the NFT curating thing is, and it's
so you've done
basically
the recon.
they're putting out merch with NFTs.
But the blockchain part is what I want to know about. What he just said.
Right. How do they make the series? It says, Dan's series, currently entitled Crapopolis, will be the first ever curated entirely on the blockchain.
What the hell does that mean?
Collier said during his interview, and just as we're doing this for our own animation, we will also help your brands connect directly with fans and enthusiasts through NFTs.
So apparently they're putting like all of the characters and a bunch of GIFs and all of that on blockchain as NFTs.
That's
so
it?
like
Okay.
the
We're selling you crap. All right.
Yeah.
Here's our giant merch table.
Here's some digital stuff.
Well,
I mean,
so like if you watch, okay, so let's say you watch Rick and Morty, right? And you would like to own Aberdolf Linkler. Well, here is the NFT of Aberdolf Linkler, and you can buy that, and now you own Aberdolf Linkler.
And, that's, again, I think there's this controversy over NFTs. It's like, it just seems in a lot of ways so insignificant because it's just a digital copy with a digital stamp on it. I mean, but yet people value them.
I think our certificates of authenticity.
Yeah, you can't take it from them.
More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
The telephone number here at the Free Talk Live studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join our conversations tonight. In the studio, I'm the host, Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Beakless Mountaineer.
It's Ian.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go to Bitcoin.com right now, click on Get Started at the top of the page, and once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse for ignoring this important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all of the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. All right, so we were talking during the break, of course, about all things NFT and more ways that it might be.
NFT meaning non-fungible token. It is a blockchain-based way of sort of authenticating the authenticity of a collectible, sort of this digital collectible item. And it kind of made me want to comment a little further on the idea of people and their obsession with collecting things.
Yes.
Which it's a very popular thing, right? Oh, collect them all, right? You got to collect them. We've seen this forever, right?
Yep.
Whether it be
collect all five of
There are many
whatever
tokens, but this one is mine.
Whether it be, you know, something as simple as the Happy Meal toys,
Yep.
or, you know, baseball cards, or your favorite little statues. Everybody's got their thing that they're into. And I'm not saying don't do this, right? People, if it makes you happy, please collect all the things you want.
Well, it used to apply to, you know, vinyl records and CDs
Sure.
and cassette tapes and 8-tracks, but not anymore. I mean, it kind of does.
It still does. There's still people out there
who
collecting those things.
collect them, but not so much now that music is largely digital.
Well, and that's the direction things are going, was why NFTs are an interesting phenomenon, because it takes the idea of a collectible, which used to be this thing that you would put on a shelf and you know, dust it and you look at it. And, you know, if you had a nice collection, you might have your friend or somebody come over and you'd say, look at my collection. And your friend would say, wow. And now you've got this digital thing that you can say, look, I've got the #1 release of this new album, or it's a digital version. And now it's like, okay. Well, it's not. It seems even less meaningful to me.
No, so for this
digital.
particular case, I mean, you could be watching Crapopolis with your friend and point at a character and be like, I own him.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, oh, look, Squanchy the cat. Yep, I own him.
But you don't.
He's mine.
but you don't own him.
Okay, so here's an example of human madness. So stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So now there are stocks that give you dividends, and there are stocks that let you vote on what the company does, and then there are stocks that do neither of those things. And I have no earthly idea why people own those, but they really care about them.
Do you have an example of one of those? Because I can think of one or the other, but not one that doesn't have either of those characteristics.
I'm pretty sure there are stocks that do neither of those.
Well, here's what...
I'm just asking if you know of one.
I don't know one offhand, no.
Well, but here's what collections do. They collect dust, for the most part, and then you die. And then your relatives have to deal with it. You know, they've got a whole room of crap that you've collected for your whole life, and you know what they're going to do with it? Probably sell it at, for pennies on the dollar at an estate sale or something like
but
that.
The person buying those collectibles will love them when they buy them.
Like, dude,
That's true.
I got a copy of Batman #1 from this garage sale, man.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you can just do that in the digital world.
That's great. But, and I don't know the statement. There's some sort of statement about, when you have too many things, they own you, basically. So I like the value of getting rid of things. I like the sort of the Quaker model of simplicity and simplifying your life and having less stuff.
And I think that's sort of the opposite of what they're aiming for here. Like with collectibles of any kind, part of what you're doing is anchoring yourself, which is it's something that can give people a sense of continuity. And
sure.
I mean, like,
this is who I am.
Right. And like you gain a sense of continuity, among other things, from being part of this and what Free Talk Live can mean to the world and what it's done and what it could be in the future. That gives you a sense of continuity. It's not the only thing, I'm sure, but that's one of the ways that you get this sense of being a part of the flow of time. Mm-hmm. And for some people, that what they do for that is, here is this collection. It started with one of them, and now look at it.
Yeah, it reminds me of a friend I had growing up, good friend of mine. His mom worked at Burger King, and she would get every Happy Meal, or whatever they called it at Burger King. I guess that's the McDonald's term, but kids meal.
Mm-hmm.
And she would take the toys out and put them in a room. And eventually, that room was literally a pile of these toys. You could not walk. You could walk from like one door to the other room, kind of like a hoarder situation, where literally the entire room. She had worked for many years at Burger King and had literally collected them all, and probably more than one of them. But it wasn't even in a way that you could appreciate them. They were just all there. And it's just, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of collections, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah.
And so NFTs take collections and it takes them in a completely different direction. Now you have this digital thing. You can't even meaningfully display it in any sort of way, shape, or form. But it still means something to the person who owns it.
That's not necessarily true.
Really?
My understanding of NFTs is, like, for example, Kevin Smith is making a movie that will exist only as an NFT, and then he will sell it.
So only one person will get to receive this movie? Is that the
one
idea?
person will be the owner of the NFT. Now, that person can choose to just keep the movie to themselves and only they get to watch the movie and they never share it with anybody else. Or they could choose to have a bunch of friends over and watch the movie. Or they could choose to broadcast it only at like a local drive-in theater. Or they could license the movie themselves to other outlets to broadcast it in like other movie theaters if he wanted to.
Does the person pay in advance for this movie, not having seen it? Is it sight unseen that you're buying?
Yeah,
this,
it would
this
have to
movie?
be in this. It would have to be in this instance.
Well, yeah, I mean, you couldn't have a bunch of people that have already watched the movie. That would destroy
but you could
the
have a
value of it.
trailer, right? Like you could say this is
Sure.
the movie I'm going to make.
Yeah.
Like, or am I just buying Kevin Smith's next movie, not knowing in advance what it will?
I would hope that there would be a trailer, but I don't know the
My
answer
guess is
to
you
your
wouldn't
question.
need to. I mean, like, he has enough of a cult following.
Yeah,
that,
I
like,
agree. Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to know what the movie is about. It's a Kevin Smith movie.
Although he's made some
film,
duds too. Jersey Girl, anyone? No, nobody knows that one.
I think
You know why?
I saw
Because
that.
it sucks.
I don't remember.
Nobody saw Jersey Girl because it sucked.
That was the best movie ever.
Well, you can't win them all.
I'm a fan of Clerks 2, Dogma, That's one of my faves. George Carlin is Cardinal Glick.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just killed it, man.
But a lot of these NFTs, it's just, oh, here's this sound file. You have the number one, here we've digital autograph version of this sound file. It doesn't sound any different than any of the other sound files. It's the same exact file.
Well, one thing that it makes possible, though, so like a lot of people...
Or maybe it does.
They one way or the other, they will get the music of their favorite band, and then they will buy the album from their favorite band to support the band.
Sure.
So this gives you a chance to do that, to have a thing that you can point to that claims and shows that you did that, and you don't have to waste plastic on a CD.
Yeah, look, I'm of sort of two minds on this. Like, on one hand, it's like, hey, if you can sell the same exact track that you just sold to 1 million other people to one guy for 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times the amount, just because you've said, this one's special. Great, good for you. I mean, hey, cash in. And if this is a way for artists to make more money without, by cutting out the record companies and things like that, fantastic. But I'm not excited at all. I have no reason to buy an NFT. I'm not interested whatsoever in an NFT. I mean, I'm not interested in physical collections of things, and I'm less interested in a digital collectible. It seems completely worthless.
I'm more of the mindset that the NFT wouldn't necessarily be a single track, that it could be an album. And oftentimes special editions of the albums have bonus tracks and additional things included with them, and this would be an additional thing. Right.
Usually
or you could include additional
that way,
things.
But a lot of times the additional thing is just the fact that it's an NFT.
I believe there's room for creativity, but I want to see it practically in its application before I decide on how it's going to be. 603-283-6160.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the radio program where you can call, take control of the airwaves, and talk about whatever you want. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party, where you can connect with other attendees. You can find the unofficial Telegram chat and also the unofficial Forkfest forum. Again, links to those can be found at forkfest.party. I'm going to be there. Come party with the captain. I hope to see you.
I'll be there.
Are we going to... Should I bring my Irish friend?
Let's see how it goes.
Okay. All right. We hung out with an Irishman, and, we don't remember most of it.
That happens at Forkfest.
It does. It was a good time.
It was a very good time.
It was such a good time. I hope to repeat said good times.
Very good.
So, we're going to shift gears here a little bit because we've been talking about this article from Bitcoin.com about many things, them getting into the NFT world and that kind of a thing. But there's some other stuff that I would like to talk about. This is from Reason.com, how individualism promotes generosity.
Oh, okay.
A new study shows that far from increasing selfishness, individualistic societies feature higher levels of altruism. Many people take for granted the idea that individualism leads to selfishness. I've heard this. I'm not reading the article right now. I've heard this from many people because I don't like the word anarchist because it's got that negative connotation associated with it. It's not that I don't like it.
Iconoclast.
It's not that I actually like the word just fine if people use it for its actual definition. But because people associate it with like chucking Molotov cocktails and that kind of thing, it's like, okay, then I don't like using libertarian because I'm not a party member. I don't like the party aspect of capital L libertarianism. And so I decided to call myself an individualist because I'm like, at least that's just me saying, hey, I'm going to be me. And, you
could be you.
Well,
you could be you. And
you could be an individualist authoritarian, though. So an individualist authoritarian regime would be one that specifically requires that there be no groups whatsoever. So, like, if you had a very, like Hitler, Stalin kind of a government, but what they required is there will be no groupings. You may not meet. You may not have these things that you are any kind of member of. You may have no kind of human grouping. You are required by the state to be individuals.
I would never dream of forcing people to do things that I prefer.
Well, and that is one of the issues with the term, because like voluntarist is a popular one.
I like that one as well.
And it's a better description, but people hear that and think, oh, so you like to volunteer a lot.
Yeah, what are we volunteering for? Right, yeah, they confuse it with voluntary interaction, consensual. A consensualist, I guess,
I like that one.
Might be a good term.
Consensualist, I like that.
How about autoarchist? Mark proffered that previously.
My personal favorite, I'm an abolitionist.
Mm-hmm.
You believe everybody should have an auto?
No, it means self-rule.
So
like
abolitionism was the movement that ended slavery. And
yes,
basically,
I used abolitionist as well.
I want to keep doing that.
Because, because, we may not have slavery in the classic sense, the overt sense, but we certainly have slavery light.
Right. Like we don't have open air chattel slavery. That's definitely true. And it is a massive improvement, obviously. So what I want to do is extend that a little further. Because right now, at the very least, they are claiming about 30% of you, just in terms of income.
Well, there's studies that say it's more than that if you put all the taxes together.
Right.
If you're just talking about income tax, that figure is accurate. But then, you got property tax and sales tax, and you got to buy licensing, and then there's inflation and all the other ways, the hidden taxes in which they get more of your money, that it's been said that it's larger than 50%. So half of your life's effort is being taken from you by an organization that you have an involuntary relationship with.
Well, and remember, slavery has really, and this is what you're saying, it's just changed form over the years.
Yeah.
But that said, there still is some straight up chattel kind of slavery. You don't have to go much further than North Korea and any other place that has prison labor camps to be able to find it. In fact, the United States also has forced prison labor.
Well, and like they brought up the 13th Amendment earlier, and that was one of the things like, okay, slavery is allowed, but only if you've been duly convicted.
That's right. And of course, they made everything a crime. So there's so many different things that have no actual victim that have been called a quote-unquote crime. We know the federal and state prisons are full of people who are there for drugs. Whether it be personal possession or the selling of them, these are victimless crimes that literally the jails are rife with these guys.
And there is, to my knowledge, absolutely no way in which you can possibly live your life in that they will not require a certain amount of free labor from you in the form, at least, of paperwork. At the very least, they're going to need you to fill out a certain set of paperwork. Otherwise, they will kidnap you and put you in a box.
Yep. And if you resist, then they purport the authority to end your life.
That's what they're trying to do to me and my friends.
Which is exactly how you treat a slave. You tell them what to do, and if they don't do it, you kill them. So we're in a much kinder, gentler, more subtle form of it. But
right. The difference being that now the slaves kind of take care of their own basics, right? So back in the day, the slave master had to take care of where the slave's going to live and any kind of problems the slave had. To some extent, they might have to do something about it if they get sick, or you got to feed them, things like that. Now we feed ourselves. We put ourselves, in our own homes, and so there's not as much that they have.
Free-range slavery is a term that I think is very accurate.
Yes, very accurate. And if you don't think that the United States of America is subject to any kind of slavery, well, you only need look at the past year, and let me just bring about the visualization of lockdowns. If an organization can just snap their fingers and go, everybody lock yourselves in your houses and everybody shut down your businesses until us big people who have more rights than you somehow decide whether or not it's cool for you to come out, that is, if that's not slavery, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and New Hampshire, the so-called live free or die state's been a pretty big disappointment in that way. In fact, I saw on Vincent's show, he did a show from here last night on LRN.FM. He was playing audio from this Fox News, I guess Hannity was having like a sit-around conference with these other governors, these Republican governors who everybody's patting them on the back for being so freedom-friendly or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like they had Chris Sununu from the governor of New Hampshire sitting there acting like he actually cares about freedom. when
No, he doesn't.
when New Hampshire was one of the most was middle pack restrictive states. It was highly restrictive compared to several other states in during the COVID so-called pandemic. And so like they're trying to act like, oh well, we were doing our best to balance things. We have to balance your freedoms versus what we want. And it's just despicable. And so many people went along with it. So many people just did what they were told. Sad stuff.
And one of the things, like right now, we've covered a lot on how we've been restricted about what we're allowed to talk about, what will get you taken off of various platforms.
Right.
And as I've pointed out, corporations at this point are an extension of the state.
Sure. Well, of course they are. The state creates corporations.
Yeah, the idea that a corporation is private is absolute nonsense, and nefarious nonsense at that. So these extensions of the state are telling you are not allowed to have X, Y, or Z quantity of information. So if you are questioning, where did this virus come from? How does it work? What are effective and not effective ways of dealing with it? It's very analogous to not letting your slaves learn how to read.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify what I said there. When I said the state creates corporations, I don't mean to say that the state invents business.
Right.
The state business is different from corporations, and people sort of have combined the two. And
they conflate company and corporation as if they were the same.
Right. You can do business without being a corporation.
Yes, you
can. But if you incorporate, then the state gives you protections from things like liability for your actions. And the state issues corporations, which are just pieces of paper. They're just file folders, and they're considered legal fictions. The state themselves are corporations.
Yep. And you pay your taxes for those protections to the state.
Hour number 3 of Free Talk Live is next.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Harmon, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The holiday not stopping criticism of the infrastructure proposal. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The White House giving Republican lawmakers 1 week to reach a deal on an infrastructure package. Republicans don't support the bill, saying it contains spending for items that have nothing to do with traditional infrastructure like elder care.
We think of it as infrastructure because infrastructure is the foundation that lets people participate in the economy. And as so many people watching this program know, when you're taking care of a loved one, doing some of those things because you don't have the right kind of care structure to look after them, and you can't even get a job because you're in this elder care situation because somehow somehow we're one of the only developed countries that doesn't take care of this, that's holding you back the same way it holds you back if you don't have a road or bridge to get to where you want to go.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Biden's plan raises taxes on the wealthy to pay for it. That's a non-starter for the GOP.
We know they're not opposed to reprogramming COVID dollars and rescue dollars. Let's take a lot of those dollars, for instance, the unemployment that a lot of states are no longer extending in the $300. Let's take those dollars and devote those to something that's core infrastructure. That is part of our plan as well.
Senator Shelley Moore Capito, both appearing on Fox News Sunday. Gunfire erupting outside a banquet hall in South Florida overnight, killing at least 2 people. Authorities are looking for 3 suspects who they say got out of a vehicle and started shooting.
20 to 25 people were injured but survived. In fact, so many victims, they were taken to multiple Miami area hospitals. Now, the vehicle police are looking for is a white Nissan Pathfinder, and police say all of the shooting happened outside the banquet hall, not inside. This mass shooting comes one night after another one Friday night in Miami's hip Wynwood district, where 7 people were shot, 6 wounded, 1 dead.
Fox's Phil Keating in Miami-Dade County. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
President Biden paying tribute to America's service members at a Memorial Day service in Delaware.
The service put on by the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs is one the president says he and his family try to attend each year. COVID-19 canceled the ceremony in 2020, but he still laid a wreath to honor the fallen. In remarks this year, his first as president, he highlighted what he called the sacred obligation he has.
To equip those we send into harm's way with all they need, care for them and their families when they return home and when they don't.
He called the military community the spine of the nation, which deserves to be celebrated Memorial Day and every day. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The president will visit Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Calls on both sides of the aisle growing to investigate the origin of the coronavirus.
We were told in the beginning that it was only bat to human, that it couldn't have been started in a lab. Now there's even more science and scientists coming forward saying that it might have started in a lab, and yet Speaker Pelosi won't let any of the standing committees investigate this.
House Minority Whip Steve Scalise on Fox News. President Biden gave intelligence officials 90 days to report on the likely origins of COVID-19. The World Health Organization says it came from animal to human transmission. China's growing space program announcing another major goal.
A 3-member crew of male astronauts will blast off next month for a 3-month mission on China.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and It was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hour number 3 kicking off here at Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. We've got some calls on hold. We'll get to those momentarily. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Bigless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
Let us not dawdle, and let's just go to the phones right away. We've got Vernon calling from Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Vernon? Hello, Vernon.
Sorry about that. New phone. So I'd like to talk about the case against the Crypto 6. And I completely understand if nobody wants to talk about it. But I read
nobody can't. In jail. Yeah, nobody can't talk about it because, anyway, we're all making the same joke. Go ahead, Vernon.
I read the document that the government filed against Ian as far as objecting to him being released on his conditions, and it was terrible. It really was terrible, and I hope, Ian, you have an opportunity at the appropriate time to refute not only all of those allegations but anything else against you, because I am very I only hear the government side of this. And I understand that you can't talk about it, I'm sure. I'm just saying in general that I look forward to hearing your and other people's stories to really understand, what the other side of this is. And the other thing I would love to hear at some point when appropriate is if you're a very good activist, and I love how you take a peaceful approach to what you believe in. Thanks. But I'm curious if you would have, if now you could go back and do anything different, and I know you might not be able to answer that either at this point in time, but I'm just telling you, man, you really have set an example, not only for libertarians, but I think a lot of people that are outside of libertarianism, maybe in other political realms, just in general, just how you stood for your beliefs, you followed through on them, you moved to New Hampshire, you sat in jail for a certain amount of time. I mean, I understand, you got to submit to this stuff now, but you really have kept your beliefs firm. And so like I said, I really look forward to hearing the other side to this and what may have changed just for other future activists that, is there anything you could have changed? So thank you for letting me talk in general, and please feel free to respond to any of that if you can.
I mean, as far as what could you change, it's an interesting question because we certainly discussed for a long time publicly on Free Talk Live what was going on. I mean, it was no secret that I co-founded the Bitcoin Embassy.
Right.
It was no secret that the Bitcoin Embassy / Shire Free Church, because it was the church prior to the embassy, because the embassy is a church program, but that we launched Bitcoin vending machines in New Hampshire. We were the first ones. Well, technically not the first. There was one company years and years ago, but they went under. But we were the longest running ones, and so I mean, there's no secrets there, and I'm not embarrassed about any of those things. And we knew that they were going after people across the United States who were selling Bitcoin, whether they be online through sites like Local Bitcoins and so on, or wherever, but charging them with things like unlicensed money transmitter and quote-unquote money laundering. I don't recall seeing any cases that had to do with what they're calling wire fraud, and I can't use the internet yet. I've been busy doing other household tasks since I've gotten out, so I haven't even had a chance to really even look up what the definition of that is.
Yeah.
The indictment that they filed against us says they were telling banks that they were accepting donations and that they were rare coins. They are rare coins.
Yeah.
There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins.
Yeah.
How many millionaires are there in the world? From what I've heard, there's more than 21 million of them.
Yep.
Would every millionaire like to have a Bitcoin eventually? Probably. So right now we know that there's people with more than one Bitcoin, so therefore not everybody can have a whole Bitcoin. Certainly not 21 million people can have a whole Bitcoin. So less than 21 million people can have a whole Bitcoin. How much less? We don't know. But there's no doubt they're rare coins. So I didn't ever want to tell anybody a lie. I don't believe in fraud.
Yep.
I'm a liberty-minded person, and so everything.
We consider fraud to be an example of aggression.
Sure.
Yep.
Now, look, if somebody's got a gun in your face, and they say, "Give me all your money," and you give them $100 because that's all you have in your wallet, but you didn't give them what was in your shoe. Well, I don't think that that's the same thing as
Well, no,
fraud.
they have initiated force,
right. So,
which if you initiate force or fraud, you have violated the non-aggression principle. And once you've violated that, you are no longer entitled to anyone else withholding force or fraud from you.
Right. And we have a church, the Shire Free Church, and so I consider everything that we do a part of the church, the function of the church, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, your church isn't real, and so therefore, those aren't donations." And
if they go down that path, that's going to be.
I expect they're going to.
Because
if you look
if
at the
they
indictment,
do,
it says
if they
purported
do,
church.
If they do, then they're going to have to prove what a real church is.
And these are things that have been litigated before.
Right.
Well, and this is an extension of, at this point in history in America, churches are absolutely, without a doubt, under fire.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
They have been specifically forbidden from meeting. There have been laws and pseudo laws. There have been orders specifically saying churches may not meet. They have been orders specifically saying that churches may not sing. They may have churches, but they may not sing.
Right.
And one of the things about this is it's a great transition, because we were just talking about slavery and how you treat slaves and how you can show slavery. So one of the things that they would do to slaves is they would outrightly forbid them from speaking in their own language.
Mm-hmm.
And this is absolutely, without a doubt, a language that we like to speak.
You mean cryptocurrency?
Yes, cryptocurrency.
Yeah. It is a language.
It is. I mean,
It's
C++
code.
is a language.
Yes, it's
Pascal
code.
is a language. Codes are languages.
Yes.
And cryptocurrency is possibly my favorite language.
Right, and now they're telling me and all of our friends that were charged that we can't use cryptocurrency at all. Not that you can't sell it, because they're saying that, which, I could understand that one, right? Like, you're being accused of doing these things. You shouldn't keep doing the things you're being accused of, because, you're being accused of in trial and all that. But to say that you can't even go out and buy, something from the corner news store here in Keene,
or get a meal
with
or whatever.
cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
I can't give somebody, I can't receive from them. I can't go on a website that would allow me to do those things. So it's absolutely ridiculous. But, to go back to his question of, is there something that I regret? Of course not. I mean, this is my mission. I've been given this mission from God to get this alternative form of value into people's hands and give them a way to get out from underneath the government money, which is evil. It is a root of evil. I mean, money isn't the root of all evil, but there is evil money.
Yes.
And this is, the government money that we have, and it's not just in the U.S., it's everywhere on the planet. Every government has centralized fiat currency where they can just hit the print button and print out as much of it as they want to, and of course increment numbers in computers, because most of it isn't physically printed. It's just in systems. And then they can send that to their friends in the military-industrial complex, and they can go to war, and they can kill innocent people with that. And so this is a peace mission, and the Shire Free Church is a peace church. Did I know they were going to come at us as hard as they did, the way they did? No, I didn't know that. And I think it's ridiculous what they did, and it's awful.
Well, and
horrifying.
To Peakless Mountaineer's point about it being a language, I use this analogy all the time, because music is a language. It's a language that expresses emotion to human beings. And so when I'm discussing with somebody who's new to cryptocurrency, I say, you understand music is a language, right? Yes, I do. Do you know how to read music? No, I don't. Do you understand how, I can put a bunch of sheet music in front of different people and they can be an orchestra? No, I don't really understand how that all works. Okay, well, you also don't understand how cryptocurrency works, but I can tell you that this is the language of value. And they go, oh, it's a language just like music is. So I try to use that analogy frequently when explaining cryptocurrency to those who are new to it. 603-283-6160 is the number if you'd like to discuss this. Do you think cryptocurrency is a language of value? More Free Talk Live on the way.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio is great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
You've tuned in to the right place for Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. If you would like to get your voice on the air, talk about whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
Let's just go right away to the phones. We've got David calling from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
AKA Vernon's favorite caller.
Oh, okay.
Me.
Do you know?
I'm Vernon's favorite caller.
Do you know Vernon? Are you guys friends? Do you go have beers?
No, we're not friends. Vernon hates me.
Oh, okay.
He hates me, man.
Well, that's an inside joke I didn't get.
All right, so what are you calling about?
That's your caller, Vernon. I'm calling about the conversation you had with Jet earlier about the government enslaving us. And first of all, I got to say, even though the owner, Eddie Aragon, has got me once again blocked from calling his radio station, I'm listening to you on KIVA in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Great station.
Rock of Talk. Yeah?
So go ahead.
Nice T-shirt, Captain. Our mayor here in Albuquerque, Tim Keller, the communist. You know, the communist Tim Keller. That's his favorite band, man. And you're talking about KISS earlier, too. And that just happens to be the favorite band of the statist Sheriff Darren White on the radio on KKOB.
I think we're up to 5 topics now at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm good at that. So government slavery. And to start it out, to introduce it, I saw a meme. It was a photograph of a dude on the street holding a cardboard handwritten sign that sums this up real well, and I want to expand on that. And this is FCC legal. It's using the P word for the kitty cat. What this sign said, the message this guy was delivering, it said, quote, "When are you pussies going to revolt?" End quote.
Not the kitty cat. That's pusillanimous. It's another version of that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Very well. And so along that lines, that guy's making a statement. He's wondering when his fellow citizens are going to catch up to his thought. And about 7 years ago, I made a statement similar. On Mark Levin's show, I said it on his show because it was the greatest audience that I could proclaim it to. And I made my declaration, as in the Declaration of Independence. And I said, these are communists. You're under attack. You've been under attack for decades. Mm-hmm. And the government that you have, they're frauds. They're not legitimate. And the Declaration says deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And I said, I withdraw my consent.
Yeah, me too. I've been telling them that for years. They just don't listen.
And
I never gave it in the first place, so I can't withdraw that which I never gave.
Yeah.
And when are you going to revolt? I've already begun.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm wrong that I've already begun to revolt.
I'm not. First of all, you need to determine who I'm addressing. There were 3 people stating there, and I'm addressing each of you. But in particular, with that statement, I'm addressing the captain that he didn't give his consent. There is an implied consent been surrendered for you.
Implied consent is an oxymoron. It's like jumbo shrimp.
This is the social contract theory.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
There is no social contract.
The court that has thrown Ian in jail believes that it's in place, and they're using their guns to back it up, right?
No,
okay,
they're wrong.
They do.
They're wrong.
And it doesn't matter what you tell them. You can say, hey, look, I'm revoking my consent.
Okay.
I've never implied it. Count me out. Article 10, right to revolution here in New Hampshire. It's there in the Constitution. I'm invoking that, and they'll still put you in a jail cell. It doesn't matter.
Right. So, Ian, you're sunk. So you can watch the rest of the people over the next number of decades or centuries, however long it takes, at some point, it's that the revolt that the guy on the street was referring to will happen. At some point, it will happen because these people keep taking more. And why do I have a bug up my rear end? It's because I wasn't paying attention until my government in Albuquerque, New Mexico, illegally trafficked my children. Vernon.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what it has to. That's unfortunately what has to happen. I think for a lot of people to pay attention to things is for the government to actually screw them or their family directly.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, David.
I wish more people would, pay attention otherwise, but usually you've got to have your own skin in the game.
Well, and he seems to be referencing a violent revolt. And if you think that you can win in a game of violence against them, you're wrong. They are the best, not only at violence itself, but at getting away with violent acts.
Yeah, they are governments, just go Google the word democide. I believe Lee Rummel put these things together. It's available at hawaii.edu. And it simply, governments are responsible for the most death in the 20th century.
Yeah. Now, what we can do much better is everything else. We can make better networks. We can make more love. We can make more creativity. We can make better money. We can make all sorts of things. That's the thing. They are better at destroying.
That's right.
We are better at creating. So if you want to get out from the reign of these tyrants, you can't do it by destruction. You must do it by creation.
I love that. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of us came here to New Hampshire, because we found out that there are a bunch of creative, peace-loving people who love liberty who are coming to the same geographic location. And the fact is, while we do value decentralization in a lot of ways, there are some benefits to centralization as well, right? Like, centralization ain't all bad. It helps to have people nearby who can understand the words coming out of your mouth, who can agree with your concepts and who can join together with you to do these co-creations.
Well, centralizing communication is great. Centralizing power is awful.
Right. To be fair, humankind needed centralization in order to get to a point where we could decentralize. Right? I mean, you can't decentralize on the things but like human beings as an organized species coming together, working together, we needed a bit of centralization to get to the point of where we're at now. And now we have the technologies that have been built and created and people have thought about, and art has been involved, and we have all of that now. So
and we've reached the point where most people are fairly well aware that for a lot of purposes, your home is the office. Yeah. Like the barriers of space that have plagued us for so long simply don't exist for a lot of contexts because we have reached this point of technological ability.
My favorite quote about exactly what you guys are talking about is from Buckminster Fuller. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
Amen.
That is the form of revolution that I want.
And that is
not,
the form of...
not a violent revolution, a violent overthrow of the government, because that's only going to lead to replacing one violent thing with another violent thing.
Well, that's why
it's the form that will work.
And that's why at one of my websites, freekeen.com, we call it peaceful evolution, because I see it not as revolution, which is starting over.
Around.
Yeah, we're going to a place we've never been before.
Evolve instead of revolution.
Yeah.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Forkfest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Ian.
On March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were arrested. We refer to them as the Crypto Six. All of them were kidnapped and put in cages. 4 of them were released on some sort of bail conditions. Ian Freeman spent 69 days behind bars, and the person named Nobody, formerly Rich Paul, remains a hostage. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's multiple ways there where you can donate to their legal defense fund. There's also links to some various things. There's some information available there. And there's a video that was taken by another activist of the actual raids that you can view yourself. These charges are not a joke, and it's going to take serious legal firepower and many experts to help protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. In the previous segment, David was talking about some revolution kind of things, and then I read the quote from Buckminster Fuller that says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And I said, that's the kind of revolution I want. Yeah. I think Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, the blockchain fit that quote precisely.
It is a perfect example.
They've built a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
Which is more like an evolution than a revolution.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, some problems are too complicated to hit with a rock. I know it feels good to try and hit the things that hurt you, but some things just don't get fixed that way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we have VJ calling from Texas who wanted to talk about revolution. VJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
I'm pretty good. I just wanted to ask, I'm all about peace and everything, and doing things a peaceful way, but what about those people that are corrupt on the other side, that are willing to be violent? So wouldn't you feel like you would have to destroy that violence with violence so you could start anew, burn down something so you can start from something fresh? Or a new slate?
No,
maybe?
Because when violence is your means, that will end up being your ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you end up seeding your own destruction if you change things that way. And I mean, I get the idea of, well, we want to burn it down and start anew, but no. I mean, like, as awful and just terrible as the United States government is, I mean, it is a significant improvement over 1,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago. Like, what we need to do is not to destroy this. We need to build on it. Like, there are ideas that are still ingrained deeply in it that we need to take those ideas and keep them. Hold them sacred. Like the idea that I am a moral agent, that I have to be held to account for what I do, and also what I do can profit me, that is still ingrained in there, even if they use the idea poorly. So we need to build on that idea.
Right. I completely agree. I just feel like there's more people out there that don't have those same morals or values and are willing to do whatever they can at the expense of people's lives to get what they want and to keep money in their pockets and to stay corrupt.
And there's no doubt that those people are running the thing that we call the U.S. federal government. I don't want to build off of the federal government. I want to see it disappear.
Yeah,
and I think it will
not
disappear.
Build off of the federal government, but off of the culture and the ideas and the advancements that we as a species and a culture have made.
Yeah. And there were a lot of good ideas that sort of came together in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Of course, many of them have been corrupted. But it's interesting, being in jail. I don't know if they purposely put books in there that are about past societies and their jails and their systems or whatever, but I came across more than one of them, and actually somebody sent me the Gulag Archipelago in there as well. I read book 1 before I was released. I have books 2 and 3 still to get through. It's about the Russian gulags back in starting in like 1917 through the 1950s, and boy, that was an insane book, the stuff that they were doing back then. So, I mean, things are definitely as bad as they are today. They certainly aren't as bad as they have been previously.
And you're absolutely right about those people. And frankly, the psychopaths will always be with you. Mm-hmm. There will always be evil people who are trying to control and harm other people. Now, the question is, do we give them cover? Do we give them a shelter where they can destroy our lives without ever being held to account?
That's what the government is, right?
That is exactly what the government is and does.
VJ?
Yes.
Anything further?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, they're in there, and that's exactly what that's exactly how they protect each other, though, is that there's a house full of them, and they look out for each other, and
No doubt.
none of them are willing to go.
They're not going anywhere.
Without a fight.
And they're not the only ones protecting them. Most
It's the people.
do.
Yeah, it's the people. I mean, look, we know government as we know it is, as Jet has pointed out, a bunch of people, right? Like it's just individuals. But they're people who are suffering of a similar delusion. They're people who have a very similar belief system. And it's a very religious belief system. And most people in the general landmass have signed on to this. And I forget which one of you said it earlier, but if people sign off and they stop believing in this fantasy, in this sick, dark, twisted fantasy of the state, then it will go away. They're going to fight. They're going to claw. They're going to scratch. They're going to kill. They're going to imprison. They're going to hurt. The dinosaur in the tar pits is going to, lash out as much as it can in its death throes. But if people stop believing in this idea that it's okay to use violence to achieve their goals in life and institutionalize it, then it will change.
And that's the whole idea behind what we talk about here on Free Talk Live and the non-aggression principle. It's that, government provides some goods and services. The difference between the vision that I have is that those goods and services will be provided without an organization of violence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there simply aren't enough evil people to sufficiently cover for themselves. There just aren't that many pure evil people.
They have to brainwash you.
But if they can get ordinary people, and what's worse, if they can get good people to cover for them, to protect them, to keep their system of power going, well, then they can keep destroying us with impunity. But if the good people can stop covering them, they lose all of it.
Go ahead, VJ.
Yes, this is true. If they do stop covering them, they'll lose all of it. But the people at hand that have that power, they're just going to keep dangling something over their heads or keep abusing them or their families to keep them in place.
Yes, they have a very effective system.
And that's why we have to do something else.
Exactly. And our whole government system has run numerous projects on their own citizens that we've known nothing about till 50 years later.
Yep.
And we're supposed to, just give them a slap on the hand
the thing.
and say, get out of here.
Yeah, you've identified a lot of the problems correctly, but the solution isn't to use their tools, which is, of course, violence and the threat of violence, because there's so many people who support them. You're going to be up against all of those people. There's no way you can succeed with violence against these people. So you have to come about it in another way, in a peaceful manner, and try to change people's hearts and minds. If you can't do that, you're going to lose.
And they will keep using the same tricks, which is why we have to quit participating.
603-283-6160. Are you tired of being provided goods and services at the behest of a violent organization? More Free Talk Live is on the way.
In this week's Onion Tips section, 5 easy ways to adapt your deplorable and parasitic existence for the upcoming Armageddon. Tip 1. Focus on preparing your home for any number of disaster situations, which still probably won't take your mind off of your impending death or the myriad mistakes you made in your short, pitiful life. Tip 2. Make sure your linens are clean prior to the upcoming catastrophe, as these are likely the very same sheets on which you will soon be slowly asphyxiated. Tip 3. Take some time off work and spend your last days free from the bonds of the oppressive machine that was just about the only thing giving you a purpose to your otherwise insignificant days. Tip 4. Spend your final waking minutes before the end of the world with your family, knowing full well you'd rather be doing a number of other gratifying yet completely depraved things. Right, sicko? In other news, a smitten foot fetishist thinks these may be the two. A woman and her gay best friend go on another one of their little adventures, and a dead daughter would have wanted a $220 million liability settlement.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, Xkeyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Final segment of Sunday's edition of Free Talk Live. If you missed any part of the show tonight, you can find the archives over at freetalklive.com. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
Bigless Mountaineer.
And it's Ian.
And before we go on with the program, I want to say a big thank you to Andy Loy. Andy Loy is a silver level amplifier of Free Talk Live. What is an amplifier, you might ask? Well, AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And if you go over to amp.freetalklive.com, you'll find all of the information you need to become an amplifier of this show. Andy Loy gives $5 a month. That's all we ask. You can give more. There's some cool perks if you do donate some money to the program. Where does the money go? It's a good question. It goes to help get this show on more radio stations. And we're currently on somewhere around 200 stations. We could be on 250. We could be on 300, maybe even more. It's all up to you. Please consider becoming an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you again to Andy Loy. We appreciate your contribution to this show.
Thanks, Andy.
Handy, is he? Handy, Andy? No, okay.
He might be. I don't know him.
Hopefully he's not raggedy.
Mm.
Well, if they can't find you handsome, they can at least find you handy.
Wow. I was having a flashback to a childhood memory. One of my siblings had a Raggedy Ann and Andy set of dolls, actual, stuffed dolls. And there were some bunk beds in the room. somehow we were having a bit of a tug of war between the top bunk and the bottom bunk with I believe it was the Raggedy Andy doll. And, of course, Raggedy Andy split in half and stuffing went everywhere. And that was the end of Raggedy Andy.
Bummer.
It always is.
It's not important to anything we've been talking about here tonight. Are you feeling risky?
Maybe.
Are you feeling risky?
I'm feeling it.
Yeah? All right. We're going to go to an unscreened call.
Oh,
here
I
on
love it.
Free Talk
Let's
Live.
do it.
Unscreened caller. What's your name, please?
Yes, notice you mischaracterized my statement.
Can't do that.
So HOA correct.
Can't do that. Only one
David,
call per night.
You know the rules.
Probably should have dumped him for that. Too late now.
When are you going to revolt?
You're revolting, David.
What a shame. Normally an unscreened call goes better than that. That's true.
Yeah. Well,
It's the risk you take. It's the risk you take.
What do they say? What does Forrest Gump say? Something
it's
about
like a box of chocolates. Life
something
is like
about don't fall in love with a prostitute or something.
I don't remember that line. I had that movie on.
Oh wait,
Laserdisc.
that's not the line. That's just kind of what happened.
I don't know. Seemed to work out well for him.
No.
That was a good movie.
I
liked
was.
that one.
It was. I laughed. I cried. I wanted to eat shrimp.
All of the things.
All of the things. What were we talking about last?
So-called revolution.
Yeah, revolt versus, build.
No, we were talking about how individualism promotes generosity.
Yes.
According to a new study. This from Reason.com. If the graphic would get out of my way. A forthcoming new study from Psychological Science concludes the opposite. And that is that, the opposite of individualism leads to selfishness. In fact, more individualistic societies feature higher levels of altruistic generosity than more collectivist ones. Georgetown psychology neuroscience professor Abigail Marsh, one of the authors of the study, summarizes the key findings in a recent New York Times op-ed. The United States is notable for its individualism. The results of several large surveys assessing the values held by the people of various nations consistently rank the United States as the most individualist country. Individualism, as defined by behavioral scientists, means valuing autonomy, self-expression, and the pursuit of personal goals, rather than prioritizing the interests of the group, be it family, community, or country. I kind of agree with that so far. Everyone seems to agree that our individualism makes us self-centered or selfish, and to disagree only about how concerning that is. But new research suggests the opposite. When comparing countries, my colleagues and I found that greater levels of individualism were linked to more generosity, not less. Less. We gathered data from 152 countries concerning 7 distinct forms of altruism and generosity. The 7 forms included 3 responses to survey questions administered by Gallup about giving money to charity, volunteering, and helping strangers, and 4 pieces of objective data per capita, donations of blood, bone marrow, and organs, and the humane treatment of non-human animals. Even after statistically controlling for wealth, health, education, and other variables, we found that in more individualist countries like the Netherlands, Bhutan, and the United States, people were more altruistic across our 7 indicators than were people in more collectivist cultures, even the wealthy ones. Now, practical example, whenever there is some sort of a natural disaster, an earthquake or a hurricane, something like that, the wallets open up. I mean, people are almost sending money before anybody's ready to take it when something like that comes here in the United States. It's been my observation. Now, I don't know if that means that, culturally individualistic nation is more altruistic, but what do you guys think?
Well, I think that it is a lot more likely for a person in China to send money to disaster relief in Haiti because of the hurricane than for China to send relief.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the individuals are the ones sending the money and not the states themselves.
So there's more decisions being made to send than if you were to just rely on these collective organizations.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, is that when you get into sort of tribalism, when you get into the more like my group versus your group, well, then why would I want to help your group? No, this is a winner take all, no sum game, or zero sum game.
Right.
Whereas as an individual, it's a lot easier to recognize that I can pursue my goals, and you getting to pursue your goals is not interfering with that.
Yeah. What's nice to me about that too is that, like, just going through life, sometimes me pursuing my goals will overlap with somebody else pursuing their goals, and for a period of time we'll be on the same path, at least for a temporary period of time, trying to pursue our goals sort of simultaneously or together, and they align in that way. And then as they sort of fall apart, well, that's, the natural cycle of life. You meet people and you accomplish, and that's kind of like how it's supposed to work, right? People get together, maybe you do form a group of people to accomplish a goal. Once the goal is accomplished, then you move on to the next thing that you were doing individually, instead of, having these sort of archaic groups try and justify themselves for future goals.
And if it was important, I'm sure the government would fix it.
That is one of the excuses that people in the collectivist societies might use to say that, oh, well, that's a terrible tragedy over there, but we've got the government, they'll handle it, I paid my taxes, so we'll just let them take care of it.
That's the overwhelming response that I would get to folks who are homeless in the Seattle area.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'd be mad about all the homeless that, are very prevalent in Seattle now.
All over the place.
All over the place. And they're like, well, what do I pay my taxes for? I'm like, well, you don't pay your taxes. They take taxes. And also,
what do you pay your taxes for? For not being put in jail.
Yeah. Also, those taxes are not going to curb the homeless problem. Now, the government will come up with all sorts of plans. Well, we need to raise the tax now because we're going to build this thing and it's going to help curb the homeless population. No, and it never does. No. And it just makes it worse. And it becomes another group that justifies its own existence through, well, we need to hire so many people to do this. We need to hire bureaucrats to file all the paperwork and all this kind of thing. And before you know it, they've eaten up all of the budget allocated for this thing, when probably just handing money to people would be a far more effective thing to do.
Right.
So
that generally doesn't work well with them either.
No, but more effective.
See what you're saying.
Over the long term.
Doing nothing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and weirdly enough, the easiest solution to homelessness is homes. And gee, why don't we have a bunch of houses?
Because government.
Well, I'm sure if I just set up a house, that'd be fine. I'm sure no one would, knock it down because I didn't fill out the paperwork properly or because I put it in the wrong place.
How many times have we done the story about somebody builds a little community of tiny homes so that the homeless people can have a home at least for a while and, give them a leg up, help them get a foot, in the door at whatever it is they want to do. And of course, here comes the government. No, you can't do that. You didn't pay the fee. You didn't file the paperwork.
Even if there was a fee, in some cases, they just won't even let you. There's not even a fee or paperwork you can file. They'll just say, no, your home is too small.
Yep.
You have not built this up to our standards, therefore it is better that a thing not exist at all. Yeah, madness.
We're about out of time. This has been the Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. Find out more about us at freetalklive.com. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Raising the stakes on infrastructure. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. The White House says congressional Republicans have 1 week to come up with an agreement on a plan to rebuild America's infrastructure.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the president's plan to rebuild America is bold.
But it's also a responsible one because the president has put forward how to pay for every penny of it in the long term.
Lead GOP negotiator Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia says they still take issue with putting elder care and daycare and other social needs as part of the rebuild.
Great things to talk about, but not part of a core physical infrastructure package.
Both appeared on Fox News Sunday. Republicans offered a proposal just shy of $1 trillion for the White House to consider.
Fox's Gernal Scott. The search continues for the suspects who opened fire outside a banquet hall in South Florida early this morning.
The banquet hall had been rented out for a concert and / birthday party, and that's when